Hey everybody, it's Dave Juno, the Meniere's Disease Warrior. How y'all doing? I'm doing pretty good for a Sunday. I hope you are too. For those of you who do work, I hope you have a great tomorrow and a spin-free week. But I kind of wanted to do a video about kind of continuing yesterday, um, because there are a lot of things that can mimic Meniere's disease. There are. Okay, I'm not going to deny that there isn't. There's a lot of things that can mimic it. As far as TMJ, I haven't really found any definitive thing, but talking to this gentleman that was talking about TMJ yesterday, I will agree that there is symptoms that mimic. And going on a support group and seeing what people are talking about with vertigo and things like that, yeah, I could see that it mimics. But is every case of Meniere's disease TMJ? No. Is 80% of people who, what he says, so-called Meniere's disease TMJ? No. Okay. That I can vouch for. But I'm sure there are some signs that mimic. And really what he's saying isn't wrong. What he should be saying, though, and that's what I saw in a comment earlier today that he had made, is you should talk to a doctor. But then he goes, I used a jaw expander. And by telling people that, because people, like I said before, are desperate, they'll just run out and buy it, not see the doctor, and it can cause some problems. Because they do, these scans and all this other stuff to see what's actually going on here. And you don't want to try something that might possibly screw you up without talking to a doctor. And yes, I know doctors don't know everything. Even specialists don't know everything. But it's a learning process for all of us. As far as the term Meniere's disease or so-called Meniere's disease, that's not going anywhere. I don't know where that came from, but not everybody who has Meniere's disease all of a sudden going to say, "Oh, you get something else," or TMJ. Does it happen? Yes. Does misdiagnosis happen? Yes, it does. You got to understand too. Doctors are human. They're not gods. Okay, some people look at a doctor and think of them as being a god, all-knowing, and they're not. And the reason why they're not is because we're all human. We're all different. Even though we kind of look the same and we have the same skin and all this stuff, even the same organs, but we're all different. So, but here are some things that mimic Meniere's disease. Okay, migraines, especially vestibular migraines, can mimic many symptoms of Meniere's disease. I printed this out because I didn't want to try to go off the top of my head. Inner ear infections. Inner ear infections can mimic Meniere's disease, especially if you haven't had attacks for very long. Yes, inner ear infection can mimic it. You can lose your hearing or have your hearing fluctuate. You'll have vertigo or dizziness. Here are some infectious diseases that can mimic Meniere's disease, which includes Lyme disease, syphilis, herpes simplex virus. This one I have never heard of, but somebody probably has. Cytomegalovirus, Epstein-Barr virus, which I've heard of many things that it does mimic it. The flu, influenza. I can attend to that because I had the flu in March. Coxsackie virus B. I don't know what that is. Varicella zoster virus. Unfortunately, I do know what that is. That's the chickenpox virus or the shingles virus. So if you've had chickenpox, you can get shingles. Okay, doesn't mean you will, but I've gotten them. My wife's gotten them twice. I haven't gotten the vax for it, which my wife did, but I haven't yet because I kind of vaxxed out. So here's some other things. And the one thing I do want to pertain to with anything on this list is just because I'm saying it doesn't mean you have it. You don't need to run to the doctors and get checked. Just some things that mimic Meniere's disease. Brain tumors. That's why we get MRIs. Brain tumors can cause symptoms similar to Meniere's disease. They can. It doesn't mean you have one. And like I said, that's why we get an MRI. That's why we get a CAT scan. Multiple sclerosis. That can cause symptoms similar to Meniere's disease as well. That's another reason why we get MRIs before they diagnose us with Meniere's disease, to see if we have spots in our brains, okay, which is a sign of multiple sclerosis. Cholesteatomas. Cholesteatomas are cysts that grow within the inner ear and can cause vertigo, dizziness, balance problems, facial nerve damage. That's an acoustic neuroma that they're talking about, where it sits on the nerve and they go trim it. And then usually it will relieve everything. But it's kind of a real serious operation, because if they hit the facial nerve, then your face. I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. My cousin Mary Rose won't mind, because she had it done. She had an acoustic neuroma, and they nicked the facial nerve, and so she looks like she's got Bell's palsy. But yeah, that's a problem. That can be a problem too. All of these things can have more in line of being misdiagnosed, or having the similar symptoms of Meniere's disease than TMJ really does, to be honest with you. Posterior fossa arachnid cysts. These are pockets of cerebrospinal fluid, CFS. That's what that means. I saw that somewhere. That can mimic Meniere's disease. And so that's CFS. Now, see, those are things that can mimic Meniere's disease. Okay? Which is why some people ask, why do they do the scans? Why they do this? That's why, exactly what I just read. So they can mimic diseases, and a doctor can order tests, like I said, imaging scans, lab tests to rule out other conditions. And that's what diagnosis of Meniere's disease is. It's a ruling out of other conditions. Okay? Kind of like the way they diagnose, I believe, fibromyalgia. It's kind of a process of elimination. Okay? Now, from what I've heard about the TMJ is that most insurance won't cover their appointments with that type of dentistry for some reason, and it's extremely expensive. And I did see something where somebody spent $400 on a jaw retainer or whatever it is to expand the jaw. But if you're thinking you might have TMJ, you want to go to the doctors. You want to go talk to a doctor, your primary care, your dentist, have them recommend another dentist, have them recommend a specialist for you, get checked before you do anything, buying anything. Now, doing supplements, herbal supplements and things like that, that are from a reputable person, not Dr. Dingleballs, I have no problem with that. Even though I do have one issue is that if you don't know your body, just make sure that you're not allergic to something. Because if you take something, you notice you're getting hives on your arms or on your legs or whatever, or you're breathing heavy, that probably means you might be allergic to that. So you might want to not take it. But I'm not against it. I'm just against people buying it from the Dr. Dingleballs people. You know, the herbal care people who think they can cure everything from gonorrhea to syphilis to cancer to, whatever wild disease that you can get by eating bat poop or whatever. Not that I don't understand why you'd want to eat bat poop, but yeah, you really want to get checked from a doctor. And I do understand that there are some doctors that gaslight. If you got a doctor that's gaslighting you or blowing you off, then yeah, go find another doctor. Don't be sticking with them. There are more good doctors out there than bad, believe it or not. And I'll tell you right now, and I'll be very, very honest with you. I've been very lucky because, I knew enough to see a different doctor. When the first one thought I was a crackpot, the other one thought I was making it up. And so I kept finding new doctors, and I found the doctor who diagnosed me, who handed me a bottle of Klonopin, told me to have a nice life, and did say, though, he did not know a lot about Meniere's disease. At the time, I'm going to tell you a little backstory on that one. Didn't know a lot about Meniere's disease at the time. Passed me off to Dr. Gasik, who was a researcher of Meniere's, God rest his soul, a researcher. And he was one of the ones who, was talking to me about it being a virus, the varicella-zoster virus, and that's why we tried antiviral medications, and it didn't work for me. And then we tried a steroid shot that didn't work. Gentamicin didn't work. He sent me to another specialist who told me why that wasn't working because my eardrum was so thick. my eardrum was just sucking it up like a sponge. And that's when we did the labyrinthectomy and all that stuff. And then he left to become a chief surgeon at Children's Hospital in Boston. So now I see another one who diagnosed me with it in here. But the one about the other doctor, Henry Clonopin and Dr. Sidari, I had ran into him at another hospital in Worcester, Mass, when I was going to see the urologist because I was having an issue. And I was walking out, and he recognized me. Kind of recognized me from the YouTube channel. But then once I said my name, he's like, oh my God, you're the one that is severely claustrophobic. And I was playing, and he apologized again for that. But he told me that because of what I've been going through, I had no idea he was following me. Not on YouTube, but talking to the other doctor. He's actually been doing more and more with Meniere's disease, which I was like, thank you very much. And he loved the channel. So he thought that was such a wonderful idea. So it was nice seeing him, and nice that, I helped him out. But like I said, if you feel like you've been misdiagnosed and you want to see you want to see maybe if you have TMJ, be my guest. I'd rather have you get checked out by a doctor than listen to somebody on the internet, on Facebook, telling you what it is, and all this other stuff, and telling you to buy stuff. Luckily, he must have watched a video, because he is saying see a doctor first. But yeah, there's just so many things out there that. Because people are always skeptical of doctors, and they'll try anything, that you could really cause more harm than good to yourself, and harm in a very, very bad way. Okay, because one of the things you don't want to do is mess this up, your alignment of your jaw. Okay, because that can cause all kinds of problems, not just vertigo. You just really don't. Okay, so that's the video. That's it. But yeah, it's just there's so many different things that can mimic that it's hard to pinpoint one thing. Okay? And the other thing too is that the term Meniere's disease isn't going away. So that was one thing I did disagree with him. That term's not going away. It's not going anywhere. Okay? I never heard it. No one else that I've talked to who is in this type of genre has heard of that term going away. I won't even approach my doctor to ask them that. It's not going away. Because they're not going to tell millions of people that are diagnosed with Meniere's disease all of a sudden, oh, you don't have Meniere's disease. It's called TMJ now. Even though it's all the things inside your ear, it's still TMJ. It's not doing that, okay? Because then you're opening up a can of worms. You're opening a can of worms from malpractice suits to everything else. So believe me, there are just some people that I don't know where they get the information from, or they just make it up. I have no idea. So on that note, hey guys, have a great night. I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.